All right, everybody, it's that time again for ESL Pro League. We're back here, Season 5, Match Day number 14. I'm Stunna. This is Vendetta. How are you doing today, Vendetta?
I'm doing great, man. Like, we actually have some rain in LA, a bit of a, rare thing to see. So I'm pretty much getting the full California experience, really.
A little bit of a strange thing, I'm sure, especially like right now. I'm sure you'd be bundled up at home, just freezing to death would be the sentiment.
Yeah, no, cozy and minus 10 degrees, pitch dark outside at about, 12. So, definitely a better change.
Well, in case you guys are just joining us, this is the ESL Pro League where 28 teams are battling it out for their share of $1 million. And as the story is told, we're going to take a look now at the ESL Pro League North American standings. At the top, you're going to see SK, Liquid, Energy, Cloud9, Optic, and Misfits in those spots that are so sought after by anyone not in them currently. And as we do go through the middle of the pack there, Luminosity, Mortal CLG, and then towards the lower end of the pack, Renegades, Complexity, and at the very, very, very bottom is going to be Winter Fox and Selfless.
Yeah, a bit of a tag team duo there at the bottom, not having too much of a good time, but still a lot to be fought for here, really, for all the teams involved, especially that middle of the pack that you mentioned with Immortal, CLG, and so on. They have, they're not far out of that qualifying spot for Dallas.
Oh, absolutely not. They're very close. But in case you don't even know what he's talking about, head over to proleague.com right now. And then make sure you hit the slash there on your, your whole little trek all the way to the website to getting your tickets to the Pro League Finals in Dallas at the Verizon Theater. Make sure you get your tickets. Yes, proleague.com/Dallas. Get your tickets there. Shaping up to be a good season so far. We've got some good matches today. In all reality, let's take a look at those now and kind of decipher which ones are the more exciting ones here, right? So we got CLG Liquid, and we've got Complexity and Cloud9.
I think both matchups actually are pretty exciting for different reasons, obviously. With CLG Liquid, I think it's obviously the main story there is CLG doing better and better, qualifying for Star Ladder, getting into the groove of things with that new lineup. Liquid on their end, still, a bit of rumors going on. This is actually going to be the 5 that they go further with. And in addition to that, you also have the fact that, Ska is finally coming back to the lineup for C9 after being away last week. So it's going to be cool to see how C9, if they can get back on that horse, because they were having a pretty good streak of things in Pro League so far.
Now, Cloud9 had a really good season. Last season, we saw them go 25-1. They go on to win the whole pot there in Brazil. This season, we're seeing them sit with 3 losses already, 2 of which in an interesting circumvent there. Let's take a look at the roster right now for Cloud9. Nothing, Shroud, Stewie, and Automatic. And back in the lineup for tonight,
Ska.
Skadoodle. He was in the hospital. He wasn't doing so hot. He's obviously back now on the front line. How big of an impact is this for Cloud9?
I think it's going to be massive for many reasons. Obviously, you get your Opper back in the lineup. You don't have to force Stewie into playing at a position that he's not necessarily that used to, being the main Opper throughout the entire game. And in addition to that, Skadoodle has just been playing really well so far in Pro League. So I think that's going to be a massive game for Cloud9, and obviously, given the season they had last time, they want to try to repeat that as best as possible, and that's only going to be possible if you play with your full 5.
Of course. I mean, you can't sit there and expect, while having that coach addition being huge,
he's not that huge when he's playing.
Right, the sword is not that huge in his hand as it would be in Skadoodle's hand.
Exactly.
And, Skadoodle having that high impact when he's firing all cylinders, he's almost unstoppable.
Yeah, it really is. And then you add to the fact that you guys like Automatic, like we see here, just constantly finding multi-frags in pretty much every round he's in. Just able to do so much for your team, right? And that's invaluable. So when you just add Scott to the already existing strength and firepower that you have on Cloud9, that team becomes extremely scary.
No, 100%. And to even go further in depth here, Automatic being that key portion of the dynamic duo, which has become Stewie and Automatic.
Yeah.
Automatic, one of those players that will take the fight to the opponent.
Yeah,
we've seen just how beneficial that is with Cloud9.
He's absolutely no fear in that guy whatsoever, and that's kind of what makes him similar to Stewie in that sense. Even though they play different types of CS, in the sense that Stewie will probably be more likely to be the first guy in, Automatic a bit more, in the back, they still manage to get the same kind of response and the same kind of result for their team, which is really important. They never really let their opponent get comfortable, and that's a really big thing when you're playing Pro CS.
Oh, 100%. I mean, when we saw these guys come in the door there at Cloud9, which, I mean, even, bringing Stewie on is just a totally different mindset. The guy totally immerses himself in the game. He wants to be there. He wants to learn. He's a student of the game. He's really thorough about what he does. Him transferring that to his teammates is great. And then when you add a player like Automatic into the fold, it's almost a perfect combination between the two.
It really is, and I think it gave Cloud9 just an added punch that they didn't really have in the past. For the longest time, you'd expect Cloud9's with their, I guess, older lineups to be a bit more timid, didn't really have that kind of firepower punch that you see today, and you can already tell what kind of results they're gaining from it. I don't think the old lineup would have been able to do what Cloud9 did in Sao Paulo, for instance.
Well, there's another lineup that they're playing against tonight, known as Complexity, and they're not having a grand time. Let's take a look at the roster now. Surreal, Depp, Android, Desi, and we do see Jason R stepping into the fold tonight.
Yeah.
Is it going to be an impactful addition?
Well, Jason R does have some pedigree. It's not like they're bringing him off the street, right? He's played with Splice at a major, so he's definitely been around the top in that sense. Gotten the matching that you'd want in a player that you bring onto a team. Obviously, it's going to be an issue because they do have limited time as to how much they could have prepared with Jason. And I think for the better part, what Complexity needs more than anything is just stability around that roster. They want to have something they can build on. So I'm not sure how much we can expect from them. So far, not really any, stars really on that side shining for them so far in the season. Android, as we see here on the screen, has been doing the best out of all of them, but it's not really amounted to a whole lot.
Well, the interesting part is this, right? We look at this Complexity lineup, and we don't see a core. Like, where's the core in this lineup?
It's kind of weird in a sense that the core you're looking at is probably, starting to be the two UK guys, the two imports, right? And that's probably not how you want to go about it, but hopefully, they can find a permanent fifth. If Jason R is going to be that guy, we don't know. Time will tell, but I think that's going to be the biggest thing to see any sort of improvement out of them as the season goes along.
Well, the interesting part about this is, up until yesterday, these guys were in the one-win club.
Yeah, which is
until yesterday.
Terrible club to be in.
It's a terrible club you do not want to find yourself in at the end of the season, or dare I say it, at any point during the season. You don't want to be in the one-win club.
Yeah.
They're able to grab 2 wins last night over Winter Fox. We just saw some of that footage. Is Complexity on the up and up now? Are they going to have this new team feel, or they just have a monumental task in front of them tonight?
I think they're going to need like a kind of a whole new level to the honeymoon phase if they're going to be able to topple Cloud9. I don't think you could have asked pretty much for a worse opponent to go up against in that sense, especially because Cloud9 has a history of being extremely good versus domestic teams. So in that sense, I think they're going to have a bit of a reality check today, but that doesn't mean they can't go, work with this going further.
Well, we're going to see them tonight on Train and Nuke, and that's only going to be after we get into our first matchup. It's going to be CLG and Liquid, which, CLG's on the up and up, Liquid's on the up and up, so this could turn out to be a pretty good bout.
Yeah, barring what we saw yesterday from CLG, they have been playing better and better. I think what happened yesterday was a bit of an anomaly because we saw a lot of personal errors that you don't normally see from that experienced players.
Well, let's talk about these players right now. Let's load up this roster right in front of you guys. On the CLG side, Cutler, Ethan, Kusta, Ricky, and FNS. Cutler and FNS, not strangers to the CLG brand. And
pretty much like founding fathers,
basically,
in that sense.
I think they were part of the initial jump over a long time ago from that Mouse Spaz era.
That's correct.
Many, many moons ago. Most of you probably weren't around then. But we do see Ethan, Kusta, and the recent addition in Ricky there. Picking up that AWP alongside Kusta, we see a lot of,
double off setups.
Yeah, a lot of double op setups across CT sides. Is this team poised to grow and develop into a better team?
I definitely think they'll have a time of instability in the near future, but I think for the long term they're going to be better with this lineup change. I think Ricky is a better player than Sabrosa. I think he adds more to them as well, and it's like you mentioned, the fact that they can actually pull out that double ops setup from time to time on CT sides is actually very beneficial. I think it's much better to have Ricky being the secondary operator than Cutler, for instance. Right. Cutler is much more efficient when he's on a rifle, and I think just the team flows better as because of this.
Well, I think Days talked about this yesterday. He spoke about how Kusta approaches the game. Kusta is more of a a
safety.
Yeah, he's a slower, like not slower, but he takes his time. He's more methodical with it. If he's going to fire a shot, he's going to make sure he's hitting the shot.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think this is a good approach to go about it. It's not going to create as many highlights as you probably would see from different types of players. Henny was that kind of a player when he initially started playing international tournaments. You'd see absolutely crazy highlights, but that would be all his frags for the game, right? And what Kusta's approach right now is, it's not going to be as flashy, but it's going to be more consistent. And I think that's a really important part. And Kusta himself has just been playing really well so far this season. Kind of gotten over that terrible stint he had in Team Liquid where everything was going wrong for him, and everybody had high hopes for him as well. So the fact that he's able to find some sort of a rhythm now, getting back into CLG and feeling comfortable, I think that's a massive gain for CLG.
Well, a terrible stint in Team Liquid. Obviously, that time has passed. So let's take a look now at the current Liquid roster. We're going to see Nitro, Elige, JDM Pimp, and Stanislaw driving the bus. Is this team going to have any trouble tonight with CLG?
You would imagine that Team Liquid obviously are favorites. Well, they are favorites going into this match, but I think on both maps, honestly, the one problem that obviously we can't really know for sure about is the fact that you have rumors about lineups being changed, and supposedly active roster changes are happening, in the upcoming week, etc., according to sources, right? And that if there's any truth to that, that's obviously not going to leave you with a good feeling within the team, but as it is right now, I still think this Team Liquid team should be able to do perfectly well versus CLG.
Well, we're going to pull up highlights right now from Elige. We know Elige as being sort of
he's a monster.
Very much a monster, very much a brute force when it comes to, entries and whatnot. This guy can get out there and he can put work down. Yeah,
and in a similar fashion to what we talk about Stewie being for Cloud9, Elige is very much that driving force for Liquid. And the cool part about him is that normally when a team takes a dip in performance, you expect that to just go across all the players. But Elige has been able to maintain an extremely high level of play, even when Liquid as a team necessarily haven't been doing that good of a job. So, and that makes it all the more impressive considering the fact that he's oftentimes one of the two first guys in towards the bomb site and that kind of thing. So he's just been, just an extremely pleasant surprise really over the course of the last year really for me.
And we spoke about this yesterday. We spoke about it on the tune of Coldzera.
Yeah,
being that for his team, and I think it's safe to say that Elige is definitely that for Liquid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And whatever you do, whatever might happen with Liquid's roster, there's no way you're touching Elige. Like, he's staying put, you're locking him in, he's not going anywhere.
Well, that's an interesting talking point right there. So let's talk about
going places.
The changes here amongst this Liquid lineup. Right?
Yeah.
So we can see kind of a timeline here. It's not really painted perfectly clear, but it is definitely there for you to pick up the pieces. Obviously, the most recent would be Stanislaw for Hiko. We saw people come in and out of this lineup. We saw them come back to this lineup. It's been turbulent. It's been a little bit of turmoil over there.
It's been messy. I think that's
at this point, in the roster changes within this team, the current lineup. What can they be hoping to achieve?
Honestly, I think this lineup on paper looks really good. A lot of people, have criticism towards Nitro and Pimp, especially as of late. And I do think Nitro's level of play has dipped quite a bit since what we saw, Liquid having during their heyday at Columbus and so on. But I don't think there's any reason to be very concerned by anything like that. And I also think the critique against Pimp is, not necessarily warranted anyway. So with the current lineup they have, I still think they could be a team that, fights for top fours at majors and whatnot. But obviously, if they want to, if they have a planned roster change, that might be because their thought is that they want to be major champions. But what kind of roster move can you, make that a guarantee? That's the issue.
Well, tonight we're going to see them battle it out on Inferno and Overpass. So let's dive a little bit into Inferno here. How are you feeling about either side of this equation going into Inferno?
I mean, I'm just in general, I like Inferno as a map. I think it's extremely exciting to see it being played more and more in the Pro League. If we go back to last week, I think we saw it once in total. So the fact that it's coming more and more into play is going to allow us to see what teams actually, what kind of an approach they have to the map, whether or not they want to innovate, whether or not they want to stick with what they did on the old version. And I think that's going to, create some interesting results to start things off. But going into this right now, from the little I've seen of Liquid play Inferno, I like what I see, and I think that's going to be good for them going into this matchup.
All right, well, we do have Eric DeBear Stromberg standing by to give us the Stromboli strategy segment on Liquid on Inferno. Take it away, Stromboli.
Thank you, guys. Welcome back to Stromberg Strategies. We're going to take a look at Elige from Team Liquid on Inferno. Now, this guy, he is good. What do you do, Liege, to get this good? Is he a gamer? I think he's a gamer. As right now, his spacing is pretty nice. Gets the exchange kill on Arya, holding the middle. Now him and Pimp's going to be rapping really quickly. Nice smoke Arch and Library to obviously make them maneuver around. They're coming to bomb site. Good wrap. It's 3-on-3 situation. They know that possibly one's towards the Halls pit area. Semphis picks off Nitro and Pimp, so he gives away the positions. He knows where at least two of them at. Now it's a one-on-one. Problem with Splice, it was a 3-on-1 at that point. Wait for your teammates a little bit, and then attack them together. Not 3 one-on-ones. Elige will pick you apart every time, as you see right there. This round, another mid take, but more from the window side. He waits for his team flash. He's coming through. They get a kill exchange, so he's going to be the entry killer. Nice pick on Semphis. He didn't see that one coming. And now it's a 3-on-2. Elige playing it safe. He's trying to. He smokes off the small pit area, just so his teammates can cross the site, plant the bomb. Arya, though, he spams him from the porch area. Nice teamwork. He peeks when Nitro peeks. They don't peek one after another. They peek at the same time to always exchange the kill. And now Elige sits back. He's going to watch for pretty much bait Nitro. And nice flick shot by Elige. I just want to know what he does. I want to know his routine, how many hours he practices, because this guy, he's something else. Back to you, Stunna.
Thank you, Eric. That guy himself is also something else.
Yeah,
if you don't mind me saying.
Speaking of hours put in, I think DeBear still probably has more hours in CS than, well, just about anyone in the world.
Across lifetime,
yeah.
There's a really good chance. Now, before we throw it over to the commentators, give me a quick prediction here on Inferno.
Well, I've liked Liquid on Inferno. I liked what Stanislav did with Optic on Inferno back in the day, so I'm going to side with Liquid going into this one.
Well, you're probably not wrong. Standing by are Blue and Dace. How you guys doing over there?
We're doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Chasing the dream.
Chasing the dream,
life.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll take it from here. And as usual, it is going to be myself and Dazed bringing you the action. We have our first match. The players jumping into the server now. They're getting ready to go. So when we do come back from the break, we'll be having that first map, ladies and gentlemen. Be sure to stick around. And in just a few minutes, we'll start the night off right here at the ESL Pro League.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
All right, welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is going to be Team Liquid taking on CLG as we get ready to head into the first map here. Days, really quick, let's kind of talk about how Stanislaw has a renewed Team Liquid. They're looking incredibly strong, and especially with CLG, having all those little tiny, kind of funny mistakes last night. Are they really going to have any chance going into this matchup now?
Well, CLG, we watched them play NRG last night. And just like you said, a lot of little mistakes, just very small mental errors across their entire team. Losing rounds that they're positionally playing very well in and have a great chance to win, but because of those tiny errors, just blowing it, right? Just really simple things that kind of stop them from taking a map off of NRG. Now, Liquid, I think, is a different beast than NRG. I think they're a better team. I think they're more well-drilled. I think they're better against just overall competition. But I don't think it's like too far of a difference. Having said that, I think this is going to be a tough road for CLG to climb right now. It's Liquid's tough. They're a very difficult opponent, and this will give us a good idea of where CLG is at this point with their starting five.
Yeah, and Liquid's sort of coming up now as sort of the cream of the crop of a lot of these NA teams. Like we said, with Stanislaw now bringing into it, I think you had some pretty good points last night about how smart he tends to be and how just how well drilled Liquid are looking now, bringing him back into the roster. How much though has that improved them over the previous iteration of the Liquid roster?
Well, I think Stan, to me, is the best in-game leader in North America. I think Liquid shows a lot of signs of adaptation, pre-adaptation, mid-round calling on CT/NT. And the thing about Stanislaw is he's very clever. He plays 3v3s, 2v2s, 4v4s in a lot of unconventional ways at times. That's going to make it very difficult for the other team to read because he's going to do something that you might not have seen before. So it's going to be difficult to react to. Now, if CLG wants to start improving and they want to start getting better, just based off last night alone, those mental errors, those things are tough to teach, right? That's tough to talk about and be like, hey, don't do that. How are you going to do that, right? Like we saw in bathrooms, right? The guy was running party the whole time, and right when he comes into bathroom's entrance, for whatever reason, Cutler looked towards long at A on overpass. And it's like, wait, what? You heard him the entire time. Just small mental errors, right? How do you fix that? How do you say, hey, look the right way next time? It's not something that you could drill, in order for like improvement. When FNS took off his silencer while he was going sewers and had a free flank on Marky for like 5 seconds, Marky wasn't looking at him. As soon as he was about to shoot at Marky, he unsilenced his M4. Then Marky turned around and killed him. And it's like, how do you, those small mental errors are something that you can't coach, you can't teach. You can't just get over those, and it seems like it's constant with CLG. We've, even since last season, casting them last season. Now, they have improved this season, but if they want to continue with that improvement, they need to figure out a way to fix that, but I just don't know how. Not only that, Ricky really needs to come into fold, and I think he needs to be one of their better players. We saw him really struggle on Inferno last time. I think he's still getting used to that role. Coming from a dedicated opping role in Renegades to now being a solo site B player, I talked about it last night. That is absolute opposites. From going from a dedicated opper, where generally when you're a dedicated opper, it revolves around you. Everything revolves around you. When you're a solo site player, you're just like, you're an anchor. You're completely reactionary. You play off your other 4 teammates. It's such a different role. So it's going to be tough for him to get used to that. And I think that's one of the things that's going to be, something that CLG is probably going to be battling with all season, is getting Ricky comfortable and performing to the level that we know he can perform at.
And that seems to be like, it's a really common thing now with CLG, where they just kind of continue to bring in players that are not really suited for the roles that they're in, and they kind of make them form around the team. Where previously, right, it was like JDM and everybody that had to come into the team had to play around him, and now they've lost him. They're trying to go back to a more normal structure, but they can never seem to find the full 5 core they have. They always tend to bring someone new into the team that has to do some sort of adjustments. Why do we always sort of see that? Is it just a lack of players they can get that actually fit the role they need, or is it just not any choices out there for them at the moment?
Well, their roster has changed considerably in the past year. I mean, FNS leaving, FNS rejoining. Hayes now leaving, but was playing stand-in matches earlier. He's out of the team. Kusta joining the team in a trade for JDM. Who knows if Kusta even wanted to be in this team when he got traded? It was just one of those things. He got traded. It's like we're the NBA now. He just got traded, so he's going to play on the team, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this. It's just a group of people that are kind of put together, and the CLG organization is just like, hey, just make it work. Figure it out. And, you know, when you take all of that into account, their record this season is pretty decent because of that. I mean, they're 500 right now, I believe, like maybe 5-5 or so. So they're not doing terribly. But yeah, we are live blue, so take it away.
Yeah, and immediately Liquid's just going to rush up Banana here to try to get some control of the initial staging area. They're already past the old car spot. Finesse is trying to battle out a little bit. In fact, he does sneak off a headshot onto Nitro there, so losing one of them. Problem is, he's got a bit of a long rotate to get around and assist with Ricky's. He's stuck back in New Box, and they know he's there. Able to peek out a little bit here as we see some damage, some more damage being done. In fact, Liquid really not finding the impact they need. They're getting the control, but they're not finding enough kills to actually clear out the site. Ricky still holds. In fact, he sneaks in a second frag right there. Now Pimp trying to hold up the flank, but no, is destroyed by Cutler. And all of a sudden, the tables turn a little bit, and it's just a Liege holding New Box. He gets destroyed by Ethan. And with the beautiful hold there on the B site, CLG pick up the pistol.
Wow, very, very nice pistol round by Ricky and FNS. FNS got a kill. He stayed alive that whole round. Ricky staying alive in the try box makes everybody look at him. It makes the rotate easier. And Liquid basically opting for a B rush. It was a little bit, you know, they threw flashes middle, they smoked spindle, and they smoked spawn, but it was B rush nonetheless. And FNS's pistols have actually been very, very impressive the past few matches we've casted.
Yeah, and now we can see the guys from Liquid splitting up a little bit more here, but still pretty decisively trying to lurk their way over into the apartments. Unfortunately, when they work their way up those T-steps, as you saw a moment ago, they do run into a nade thrown from Boiler there, which is going to bring Stan and Nitro down just a little bit. Nothing huge. 40 HP is pretty decent against Stan, but only like 15 off of Nitro. And for the rest of the squad here, again, still lined up to it, but they do end up evacuating outside of the apartments. And this goes into the slow style of play that we often see here with Inferno, where they do kind of have to wait out the smokes and run down the timer. They've done really zero work to try and keep control of Banana, though. So as you can see, Ricky's pushed all the way up right now behind the wall. He should be able to hear these guys rushing towards him in a moment, and that'll lead to the deployment of the Molotov. Once again, holding Team Liquid back as they did want a little bit of control here, but so far, nothing really working out for them as they've been unable to successfully move in and take control of really anything significant across the map.
Yeah, very passive setup from CLG right now. Great shot by Kusta at Arch. Now we can kind of fall back. That makes this round really difficult for Liquid, playing 4v5, being spread out like this. But if Kusta re-aggresses, he might get caught by a Tech 9.
Kusta just going to be falling back here, assuming that they'll chase him, and he's right about that. In fact, doing some massive damage here. Picks up a second kill, finally knocked out by Nitro there as they do end up chasing him, and now they're going to go for a bit of a B split. Ricky, unfortunately, swung a bit wide, so he gets taken down, and Finesse is not really there with his spray, so he, as well, is going to get knocked out by a Liege. That's site control for them. They do have a man advantage, but it's only a slight one here. Liege at 1 HP. Probably not going to be super active here in the post-plant situation. For Ethan and Cutler, though, both of them are already routing their way up Banana, trying to sneak back in, and they're going directly at it, too. No time to strategize about that with that extra smoke they had sitting on Cutler. They're just going directly back into the site. The Liege, he was the easy one. Now it's the remaining two that are going to be the real problem as they hide both in Church and over there towards the new box. And Pimp had done a great job of keeping himself quiet up to that point. Cutler basically just gone on a wild goose chase for either of these frags if he can find them. And he's being taken around the Church. Ring around the Rosie here for him. It's just not looking like it's going to work out unless he can somehow clutch these 2 kills out. Nope, won't be happening. Pimp closes it out, and on the eco upset, Liquid are going to bring this up to 1-1.
I mean, it was looking great after Kusta made it 4v5 with that shot. I'm not sure why he re-aggresses there. I know he gets that kill, and he actually was pretty fortunate to get that kill and get that second kill before he went down. At the end of the day, though, Ricky and FNS, Ricky started moving his position at a very bad time, and that's just another one of those mental errors. That's a small mistake. If Ricky just stays in his spot and just waits where he just knows he's going to get 1 kill, they win that round. FNS, over-peaking a headshot angle, just these very, very small mistakes costing CLG these games. So we saw them win countless anti-ecos, or you know, on their own ecos rather, last night. So we'll see if they can continue with that.
And Kusta is going to be sneaking up closer to try to play. He is spotted first off. Thankfully, gets some assistance from Finesse, but still quickly traded out in the open regardless by Elysian. Now Finesse trying to hide back in the open. He was hoping they got a little bit closer in that situation, but no. Nitro's going to keep it at range to be able to take him down without losing any more of their own players. That's a pretty clean take with the exception of the loss of Pimp. And unfortunately, it happens so quickly that even with CLG trying to wrap back around here, I doubt they'll be able to do much besides post up frags. It's more than likely you are going to be looking at a second round for Team Liquid in a moment here.
Yeah, but that was actually well played by Kusta. He spotted, he threw the smoke, he got behind the smoke, killed JDM. Had FNS maybe played more towards first oranges and maybe gotten 1 or 2 more when they came through the smoke. And if Liquid doesn't spam Kusta after he kills Pimp, jumping through the smoke, I mean, that could be a completely different round. So that was a nice way to play B. It was very clever. As soon as he sees him, he smokes it off, gets in front of the smoke, and I like what he did there. Obviously, they still lose the round, but that was a chance where they could have won the round. That could have been a hold. And I like the way they played that.
And coming off of that force now, CLG are going to be just transitioning into more than likely a full save here. Obviously, Ethan has the P250 armor pickup from the previous round, so he's still going to be working with that. But for the rest of them, they need to save up for the first gun round here. So it is going to be Liquid that do end up taking a bit of an early advantage here at the beginning of the map. Small one, of course, is the first gun round is really going to determine the way that things will fly, especially now that the economy's gone all sorts of crazy here. But at the very least, Liquid do get a few rounds to work with. And for Ricky, well, his luck, his unlucky streak from last night is going to continue back over here by the car position. He gets naded out right from the start. Kusta has a nice position, though, to take down Leash from pretty long range, actually. He was over there in alt mid, I think, and he took him down over on top of the bridge further down. So eliminates him, brings it to a 4v4. Unfortunately, no one was here to defend the B bomb site, so in the process of that kill happening, Liquid just walked right up. They've got the plan, and that should be the round for them.
Yeah, FNS will probably do his best just to save this AK. He's all the way in T-spawn already, so he's just on a mission to save that. Kusta, just a USP'er across the map, takes out another one. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so 2 super long-range USP kills. I think down to 4 HP, though, he's pretty much going to be out of the mix if he's not low on ammo already. But for the rest of the team, they still have positions if they want to try to bait Team Liquid into pursuing them. They could overwhelm at least 1 or 2 more guys possibly here as they just slowly try to whittle down. There's still that back left corner there from Cutler where he's going to try to swing back out. It seems like they've got it under control, maybe. Oh, they do sneak in another one at the hands of Cutler here. But Nitro moving out, taking down Cutler. And I mean, considering that was a full save.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic eco round by CLG. Even with the USPs, it seems they're able to get a considerable amount of damage done on every eco round that they play.
Shots for Booster really didn't even have great vision looking back there either. So a great spot from him. And FNS is even going to be able to save himself a little bit of cash going into the gun round now, so he gets himself a full utility buy. He will also, just as a side note there too, he's going to have the only kit right now for CLG, so this is going to limit their ability on retakes a little bit as well if they don't play this smart positionally speaking. But immediately into the next gun round, we can see more aggressive positioning being taken up by CLG. Team Liquid not trying to do anything crazy at the start for themselves, just moving into the apartments pretty much as we expect and putting some pressure on the banana, but for the most part, looking like they're going to shape up to take some sort of A control pretty quickly as they're already all the way up the long haul here, looking for a path back out. There's that new flash that goes out over there to blind the players in pit and partially on the site too. It's Cutler holding the first frag here. They try to line it for more. Ethan gets not 1 but 2 on a Nitro and Pimp. There's one more T still hanging out in the balcony. He is going to use this smoke to give him a little bit more breathing room in the situation, but at the moment it is CLG basically in full control. All the T's have is going to be the pit area, and it's not even the entire pit either. It's just this little tiny crevice over here, along with JDM back over here at the porch, and on his peak, he immediately goes down. Alicia's stuck here, and all the CTs know it, so it's just a matter of eliminating him. They'll obviously take it a little bit slowly here, just so they can make sure they take as few losses as possible, but in the end, it's their round once again, as they shoot up to 2.
Yeah, a double site setup from CLG there, so a lot of focus is going to be put on the pit when they're coming out of the halls. Nobody being there, they're able to... You know, I think they got 2 kills, and Ethan was also stayed alive, maybe even 3 kills if Cutler got one, I'm not sure. So a really nice hold by CLG, and they were ready for that. They weren't playing mid very aggressively. They were already back in sight. They didn't have anybody stuck at porch or anything. And had they had somebody porch, that porch guy definitely could have died because they jumped out halls towards porch. He would probably be looking at middle. So the double site setup was a good read by them.
Pimple was getting clipped off here if he tries to jump past Crossroads over here. As there's still the op presence from Kusta over at long. It'll then be tested, but there's a pretty deep smoke getting in the way of things now, so I doubt he'll be able to hit anything else unless he somehow gets a read onto these players here. But the connection on the Pimp early on is good. Unfortunately, Team Liquid not really going to be playing into that until the smoke fades away. It does look like JDM is looking into it right now to possibly challenge things in a second. He's got to be very careful about it, but we'll see how Kusta fares against this. He is going to be challenged in a moment. He tries to go for the timing shot after being flashed, but misses it. And he's really up in the open there. I think it was jumped up. So it's actually a pretty easy frag for JDM to get on the re-peak there. Now that's essentially the entire site too. This needs to be fast rotations. The Molotov works there to eliminate Stanislaw, and Finesse gets himself to a very quick position over here in the garden. He picks up a second, so I'm surprised actually they are able to hold this off, at least temporarily. The remaining T's are still going to be able to flush back in, and the guys from CLG aren't going to be stupid about things. They don't hold the same position. They fall back a little bit, change up the game, and in fact, Ricky getting boosted up on top of the flower pot. He catches a Liege with a grenade in hand. Now it's a quick trade from JDM, so still a 3v2, but both of these Ts have already been hit on the Team Liquid side here, and they have no further utility to try and smoke off towards CT, molly things off, but oh no, Pimp just shoots his own teammate right in the back of the head, and now he's alone, so Cutler's gonna waltz right in, and there you go. It's the retake from CLG as they'll tie this match up.
Wrecked. JDM deserved it. How dare you entry Kusta like that?
Just teaching him a lesson right there.
Yep.
But yeah.
So that rotate comes from the so quickly taking construction control. That was like a perfect rotate. You saw Ricky throws the Molotov, he spams through the smoke, gets a kill. FNS immediately runs to construction. He kind of just plays an angle. They're not going to expect him there when that guy's already spamming and mollying from spawn, right? And it just works out very, very nicely for him. So now Liquid going to be on a save, just Glocks and P250s. They have the double op set up onto CLG. So this is like a must-win round. This is when you cannot have one of those mental mistakes. If you win this round, you win it clean, you're going to be very well set up to have a successful CT side.
Early nades, once again, from the CT side are actually pretty well placed here. It's not only one that connects over here onto Pimp, knocking off 30 of his health, but an upshot through the floor and into the mini pit outside of Mexico. It connects onto Nitro there, bringing him down to 36 after everything is said and done. So once again, CLG getting some nice damage numbers in that'll make holding off the actual take a little bit easier. Team Liquid still going very directly, though, into these sites. Not one to try and switch things up a bit, excuse me, and play separately. They are basically just going to all push in through the mid choke point and try to split around the wraps right here. As we can see Ricky getting ready for it. He certainly knows something's in the way, but the smoke obviously not letting him see a whole lot. He knows they got close, however, so he goes to the pistol, holds one, holds two. He's got an angle on a third, but his teammate's going to swing in to try and finish things off, and they succeed. So all that's left is JDM. He takes Ethan a second there, but he does get the kill on the JDM, spinning around as well. As now CLG will take the lead here.
Yeah, that's what they needed, man. Just win that round clean, get your economy going. Inferno is one of the maps where the utility that you use is so important, like smokes and Molotovs, especially going back to the old Inferno, but it still is true on this Inferno as well. Like, you know, even a banana, you could do a well-placed molly and completely stop any type of an execute, right? As long as you get it in the middle there. So utility is so important on this map. So winning rounds clean, making sure you have smoke, double flash, mollies is just of utmost importance.
And for Ricky here now, he is going to wait to see if he can find, since Team Liquid have been no strangers to going in for early control of the apartments here, smoking it back off. Repicking it would be a little bit dangerous, so he's going to try to pop flash out. I think Vision's going to be a tad bit of a problem, though, as when he does swing around, he doesn't catch Nitro. But Nitro sees him, knocking him out. JDM, I think he realizes they are trying to go for a bit of a boost up here to look for him as Kusta sits on top. But again, no real connection onto these CTs, so the upper from the T side, he does just resolve to fall back over towards the crossroads.
This is a good play by him.
Kusta, though, now sitting up on top of the wall and looking to see if he can catch him on a repeak. Or does that right go for it? It doesn't look like anything's going to happen, though. Liquid fall away from that completely. And they're now grouped up in mid to try and regress through A once again.
Yeah, but they're set up well now. FNS full rotated. They still have two in the site. They have two Molotovs and a smoke as well.
And as they move themselves back over here now, Finesse will be the first one to get challenged or have to change his position. But there's nowhere for him really to go until one of those smokes fades away. He's also smoked out towards arches here, so he may just actually have to go directly through it. You can see him trying to sneak back in. This is all going to come down to timing in reality here. Molotov on the other side kind of screws him over. He gets knocked out, and overall, it's all Liquid here right now. Kusta already down to just him as the last man standing, and there's not much that he can do as there was no hold at all from the CTs on the site itself. All they dispatched of was Nitro. So for Kusta, he's going to have no choice but to fall back and save and let Liquid tie the game up again.
Yeah, and it might be a good idea to try to get some exits, unless he's anticipating that they're going to chase him, because Liquid's money isn't great, and CLG will be able to buy next round, regardless of whether he dies or not. Having said that, CLG, what they did at B was they gave themselves a chance to win the round. Kusta got aggressive. He was the only one there. FNS rotated. Unfortunately, the smokes were on point for Liquid. The take was very well done, and the site hold, you know, just was not anything to brag about, right? They pretty much only killed Nitro, like we saw. But that play at B was very smart by them. They gave themselves a chance to win the round. Kusta got aggressive. He took ground. He took information. It allowed FNS to go back to A. That very well could have been a CLG round win.
But off of that, still, Liquid battle back. Now it has taken us into Forced in investment for CLG as they empty things out. Still leads them into a full buy, though. In fact, they are even able to go for the double op setup here. Kusta and Ricky, once again, being the two oppers to play that on CLG, as you would generally expect. Decent utility across the board, too. A little bit limited in some respects, but nothing huge. Just missing a couple flashbangs here and there. They still have a lot of Molotovs and smokes to play with. Meanwhile, on the T side, as mentioned previously, Team Liquid pretty much in the same exact boat here, as both teams are sitting on the edge of an economy break, and it would allow for finally one of these two teams to take a slight edge if they should be able to completely wipe the board on this gun round.
Yeah, we see CLG going back to the double op setup, and they're taking a risk. They're playing retake B. Ricky's there by himself. They have 4 towards A, and essentially a triple porch setup. FNS is kind of responsible for the hulls, and he could just watch it and then swing porch if action starts, going down over there.
So Liquid again starting their round off by trying to sneak through the choke point here, which in past rounds has been relatively easy, but this time they are going to be challenged on the porch itself. Cutler waiting, sitting there to see. Hiding out of sight right now, but he does have teammates that can also swing back out and work as a distraction for him to multi-frag if the positioning ends up working out here. But it's all very silent up until this point when Cutler finally decides he's had enough of the waiting, and FNS joins in the fun. 3 fast kills for CLG. Elise tried to swing out to Boiler to trade, but they're not having any of that. The entire hit just gets completely wrecked over at the mid choke point, and Stan is still smoked out at long haul, so he can't do anything to respond to this. He's alone, and with 25 seconds left, we'll have to see what he'll attempt to do, but winning the round is probably not going to be one of those things. Able to, at the very least, taking out 1 or 2 players here. As he just hopes the nade will connect onto enough damage, but nope. And his attempt to swing out towards Boiler. It's an easy frag for one of those 3 players from CLG to pick up and now take serious advantage over Team Liquid.
Perfectly played by CLG. You saw, I believe it was Cutler underneath the porch. As soon as he makes contact, you swing. You're going to get trade kills all day like that, especially if they don't Molotov it and they're not really ready for it, which they really weren't. They really were not in position to contest that triple port setup. Now COG, they're force buying 3 AKs, a couple Tech 9s going quick towards B with 1 in alt mid.
And we can see them trying to go all the way up towards Car right from the start of this one. Stan had been hit. Finesse is going to finish the job there. The rest will get mollied off. That molly may still leave a little bit of room for them to try and sneak through. And, oh, excuse me, it was still positioned in a good enough spot, so it is going to block them off there for the extra seconds. Allow for the fallback on CLG. No rotations from CLG on the A site, however. They're all still sticking around until up to this point when I think Kusta is going to get called over through arches. So they may group up. However, the possibility of them now falling back and going to A is going to come alive here for Team Liquid.
I don't think Kusta should over-rotate here because FNS has a molly. But the way they should play it is that Ricky should spot and FNS should just have the molly out. And if he sees anything, you just throw it. They cannot take the site, and then Kusta could still have 10 seconds or so to rotate. And you'll know how many are there generally in that type of a situation.
Kusta, though, after not really hearing anything else at B, seems to be swinging back, although a little bit slowly. He's not going to get anything from the library position anyway, so it still falls to the pit players to hold things back off. They will be overwhelmed, though, as all the remaining 4 from Liquid are moving in, but they still manage to hold it. Beautiful sprinting control from Cutler as he gets 3 in 1 clip, and Kusta arrives just in time to finish off the last one.
Yeah, and CLG showing great positioning on Inferno so far. That was the first round that we saw Ethan not play on the top left box in sight there. Well, he was on porch. He was boosted above when they did the triple porch. It was actually like a quad porch setup, or no, triple porch. Sorry. And then I think Kusta was arch when they did that. But he's been playing that spot almost every single time. That time moved towards the backup pit. Wasn't able to get a kill, but still, you got to switch it up. Liquid's gonna realize what you're doing pretty quickly when they see you there like every single round.
And speaking of Liquid, they will be completely broken here, so all they carry in terms of a buy into the 11th round is going to be P250s, and they've already lost 1 player due to the aggressive push from Ethan out through the mid choke. The rest of them kind of falling back through Mexico and alt mid, trying to get their way over here towards B and make some attempt to overwhelm that site, since there's more than likely going to be less players waiting there for them. They're correct in that assumption, but still, it's just P250s and a Glock sitting on JDM. The hopes are still not looking great. Good timing on the flashbang there. It does blind the first initial volley of players is moving in, and it's basically just turning into a shooting gallery for the B-side players. Already down to JDM. The most damage they've done is 10 to Kusta, so it's looking like another clean one for CLG to establish some sort of an economy as they pick up yet another round.
Yeah, and CLG putting together a nice CT side here. I mean, they're playing good. This is what you expect to see with the way they play. They're giving themselves chances to win rounds. They play well positionally, and they're just not making these ridiculous mental errors that we kind of saw last night. And when you don't make those errors, look what happens. You're 7-4 with a nicely built economy against one of the best teams in North America.
Team Liquid really struggling here to actually get something done on their T side. So 4 rounds, relative success being found here or there. Keep in mind, most of their rounds is due to the fact that they upset it against Team Liquid in the second round where they forced up there and were able to upset, breaking CLG directly after that when they attempted to reforce and then took a few rounds off of them. I think beyond that, we've really only seen 1 or 2 gun rounds that they've managed to actually pick up here against CLG. So it still has been the CTs controlling the situation for the majority of this half, and there's not a lot of time left to make up for that. As once again, they put a lot of players in the halls initially here in the apartments, but no real movement in the early round to try and take some serious control.
Yeah, and this is what CLG is doing really well. Look at their utility. They have 4 Molotovs. If Liquid does any type of a take and they just spot and throw any type of a Molotov, it should be a round over, right? Any type of like group up type take. So what do you do if you're Liquid? You have 50 seconds left. You haven't taken any map control. They still have all their utility. What's the game plan here for Liquid? Because this all signs point to a CLG round win.
And immediately there is going to be those Molotovs when we could see Nitro and some of the other guys trying to press forward a little bit here. Time getting very low. What is Liquid going to do? They're still kind of stuck over here in mid trying to form some sort of a plan as they have players messing around at the exit to Boiler and Long Halls. No actual sense of any sort of execute coming in here anytime soon. It would be hilarious if they attempted to do that, but it does look like they're going to make a last-ditched attempt to roll in towards A here. Granted, CLG haven't got this intel up to this point either, but well, they have nothing to cover off Library, so Ricky, he's free to peek back out. Good timing on the flashbang, completely blind Stanislaw. Pip trying to move in. He does kind of mind game him a little bit there to be able to pick up the kill, and Nitro finds another kill, but now, do they have enough time to get the bomb onto the site? No. They do, just barely. Somehow it works out for Liquid, and now we go to a 3v2 retake where the guys from CLG on the B site, they're just arriving here right now. They had no clue, so this super delayed take has actually worked out right here for Team Liquid. Now it's going to be 2 ops trying to retake here onto the site, but actually no, they're not even going to go for that. They're just going to give it up, and they're going to let Liquid have the round.
That should never happen. One of the key mistakes that was made there was that they double mollied halls as soon as that smoke came out, and that's the second time I saw them do that. They double mollied porch, and they double mollied halls. Do you remember when Liquid came up porch and Cutler got like a 3K in the pit? They double mollied porch in that situation. You don't need to do that. Just one of you needs to molly. If just one of them, that's one of those mental errors that we're talking about. That small mistake lost them the round. I don't care how the kills went down. The kills are going to be the easiest thing in the world if you timed your mollies properly. If there was 1 molly halls, and then you saved your molly and you maybe threw a porch or arch or halls while they were wrapping. It's just how the game works, right? Those small mistakes, CLG just can't escape them.
And so that has brought down the money a little bit here for CLG, but granted, most of them were sitting somewhere between 7 and 10K. Ricky missed what should have been actually a fairly easy shot there out in mid. And unfortunately, has to fall back with no connection to his name. The rest of Liquid, well, they have choke point control. They've been, again, really fond of trying to push this in the early round, but that is after the missed shot from Ricky going to cause a Molotov to be tossed back out here, and they use that to try and delay things on the Team Liquid side for a few seconds. They'll succeed in that, but still, the early round, once again, it's pretty much business as usual for Team Liquid currently.
Yeah, very unfortunate miss by Ricky because it doesn't punish that fast play. It actually hurts CLG a lot because they used like 3 Molotovs to stop anything quick and used all their utility. So that advantage that they had the round before, where they had all those nades late round, it's not going to be the same this round. They already used almost every smoke except for 1. They already used almost every Molotov besides 2, and that's a very big deal when you play Inferno.
Yeah, Ricky is going to be more than likely challenged again here as Team Liquid do get prepared to try and go for another wrap play here to sort of overwhelm the A site. He's over here towards the library side, though, might be somewhat limited. Thankfully, CLG did still have a few Molotovs, so they can wait it up for a few more seconds, but Ricky again challenged. He hits the connection this time, but it is going to be just a leg shot onto Stan, only bringing him down to 15 HP, so he stays alive. Now Ethan prepares for the hit play. Good shot from Nitro there to find Cutler, but he does get dinked in the process, and now Ethan's still alive on the site, but they also took out Ricky on the other side of this, so Ethan's stuck in a corner with really nowhere to go. They knew he was going to have to try and retreat from that top box somewhere, so Elige just goes for the full-on spray down, and Ethan walks right into it, giving them the connection and putting us into another 4v2, where I don't think CLG are going to go for it again. They're more than likely just going to line up for, in Finesse's case, they might try to find a couple exits, but Kusta's saving the op 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a full A exec. CLG wasting their utility, they're wasting their nades, and those nades are they're going to give them rounds if they just use them properly and they use their utility properly. Instead, they're being very wasteful for it, and they're getting heavily punished because of it.
And Finesse will be challenged here in a second as Stan walks out. Finding at least the first kill there. He was already low, though, so not the biggest deal in the world. Trying to change up his position a bit here as he goes into the T apps now. Look for a few more pickups, but Liquid, they've pretty much made it outside of the site. Nitro just barely surviving the bomb's explosion there with only 3 HP. I think that's it. Everybody else has their own little safe space, and after that, we won't see any more deaths. So 6-7 going into the 14th round. Still an extremely close game.
Look at FNS's scoreline. Only 3 deaths in these past 13 rounds, and B has been pretty solid for CLG. I mean, the one round that I believe it was Kusta died and they took the site, but they weren't able to even get the bomb down because FNS and Ricky had such a good rotate. I mean, it's just been this A. This A has been very problematic for him, and so Kusta goes down to 7 HP. That's not a good start for this round.
Yeah, huge molly damage going on to him right from the beginning of it. And yeah, I mean, this sort of explains why Liquid considerably have been going for just these mid choke point control along with long pulse control in almost every single round here, since B has been so well defended on almost every single round so far. So they've been very hesitant to even attempt to go for some sort of a B play, which has left players like Finesse out of the action for a majority of these rounds here. This time, though, I think CLG may be catching on to that, as once again, they just leave Ricky over there to defend B, and they've rotated some of the other guys onto A as they just foreplay here. Kusta has found his first shot.
Like a Molotov like that is just, there's no reason to do that. Why are you just Molotoving ports there? You have 4 people at A. They haven't even thrown any nades yet. Why do you do that? It makes no sense.
At the very least, it is going to draw some attention over there towards Boiler as he comes out, so it allows for Cutler to get the free peek on the other side. Ricky unscopes at just the wrong moment, though, so it is going to allow them to shuffle into B for free. And finally, they make an attempt at it, and they do it at a perfect round when there is essentially no one home to defend it. As Ricky backs up there, gets a little bit unlucky with his timing, and because of that, that gives the guys from Team Liquid the free plant. They're still working with a 3-on-5 scenario, though, so they're not out of the woods just yet. As everyone from CLG is already alive, Kusa's going to be hanging back towards CT. They're to try to take some long-range shots if anybody does peek out onto the site. But the rest, 3 of them, in fact, are in the church trying to wrap back in, whereas the other one is still working his way from CT. There's Ricky already finding one of the 3 Ts. Stanislav gets flashed up on top of that corner boost. Nowhere from Nico, and Pimp, he's going to get mollied out of emo corner. So while Pimp does pick up 1 frag against Ethan, that's all they'll get. And again, it's CLG retaking control as they go up to 8.
Great retake by CLG, and they had the Molotovs, they had the nades, so that retake could be pretty routine. It's pretty easy when you have construction control. You have a couple mollies, you know where they could be, right? They can't be in construction, so they have to just be in just a few places. So pretty easy retake for them, and Ricky did a good job of just kind of staying alive. I think that unscope, although unfortunate, I think the best thing to do there is actually to play an even more passive angle and just kill them when they go near the spindle, and they just have no idea that you're there, because you do have the op, right?
Yeah.
It's usually just a free kill. But
good nade early on. Again, pretty significant damage. It's about 75, I think, across
triple
both
op
the players.
setup for CLG.
They're playing 2 of them, if I read that correctly. Yeah, 2 of them over there are going to be on B. So they only have ops currently to defend the B bomb site with. A lot of utility, of course, and I think we mentioned that at a few points on the half, that they've been pretty good at controlling the utility, with the exception of a couple rounds where the ops missed their initial shots, and that did lead to Team Liquid getting control. But now they're going to start to shift their way in. They haven't been able to detect them going across this smoke just yet, as Finesse just sits here and patiently waits for the impending hit. No signs of a fallback really from Team Liquid. And meanwhile, in terms of the utility, well, they've pretty much already used everything for the 2 guys that are sitting here from CLG. Kusta's 1 more smoke to utilize, and that may get tossed out right now, but Finesse is going to sink his first shot. Kusta, no sign of the smoke, but he does connect a kill onto the bomb carrier, which means reinforcements should start working their way over here. Still pretty slow and delayed, though, and the smokes are just going to cover off the backside here. What's even worse is, oh, beautiful shot from Pimp as he just catches Kusta on a whim check to his left side. He even hit Finesse down to 22 HP, so he's got nothing to do with trying to hold off this plant right now. They still have a man advantage. The CLG are going to wrap their way back in. Pimp, though, finding another shot, evens it out, and Nitro gives them back the advantage as they take him out. So Cutler and Ricky somehow going to try to force their way back in. Initial flashbang, not too good, but Ricky hits the shot against Nitro here. Church control also being there, so in a moment, Cutler's going to be able to contribute a little bit more from the garden over here as Ricky tries to move back in. It's a little bit too brash, and Pimp hits not only this shot onto Ricky, but also swings out after being mollied out to finish off the round as well. So beautiful stuff from Pimp there on that final round. Guys, stick around here as we have ourselves a close match, and the second half is coming up right after the break.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, Mountain Dew League, and ESEA.
And welcome back again. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Team Liquid taking on CLG, and it's actually a relatively close match after CLG's somewhat poor performance versus Energy yesterday. One might have expected going into this one that Team Liquid would have really wiped the floor here with CLG on all these mistakes. And while we are still seeing a few of those mistakes, they've actually come out rather strong, and I think for the majority of the half, they were looking to be in control of the situation. Few mess-ups here and there, though, and it has left the scoreline basically head-to-head still going into the second half.
Yeah, I think if CLG just had a little bit better utility usage, it's a big improvement on what I saw yesterday, actually. I think they played better today. But a little bit better utility usage and communication on when to use your nades and why you use your nades, and actually have a thought process behind it instead of just burning it for no reason when they're just sitting there, Liquid's not doing anything, and you just toss something while they're still setting up into something. And I think CLG probably wins that half like 11-4. Just that small difference, because at this level, those small differences are huge differences. You know, there's those tiny little things.
Well, for CLG here, we will see most of their players shaping up to try and push up into some kind of an A lineup early on. We've already got 3 guys going in towards T-Halls here. And actually, they've done something I've never seen this before attempted. Stan and Pimp are boosted on top of each other at the edge of the long house. Let's see if this works. They get one. There's more on the way, though, and it's immediately traded back out on one of them. Stan runs out of ammo.
I think there's a reason why we haven't seen that before, Blue.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason.
Seems like it's a bit too chaotic for Team Liquid to control there, and they do end up losing that battle. But rotations are coming in pretty quickly. It's interesting, though, is all the rotations are coming in on the flank side as they just rush down Banana from the B-bomb side and all push their way back in from the other end of it. But regardless, CLG seem ready for it. Great nade going into the back here. Knocks off a good, 70 to 80 HP off of 2 players. And for Liege, he's hunting to see if he can find the headshot off of Finesse or someone else here. They're sneaking back in, but Finesse holds the line, knocks out Liege up on top of the balcony there. Ethan just super wide peek, but he doesn't care as he takes out JDM, and Finesse once again from the pit, finishing the job against Nitro to allow CLG to control the lead going into the second half.
Again, man, FNS's pistols. He's just showing up every pistol round that we cast this guy. He's multi-fragging. He's doing his job. He's making plays. I think he ended the round with 2 there, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, there's a reason we don't see that very often, because it's not good.
It didn't go so well.
No, it's just not very good.
Well, after wiping that off, Team Liquid do go into the usual second round here. It's actually still relatively light on quite a few players. It's kind of back and forth here. Let me take a look at who is invested into who, and Ethan just goes right in. Great transfer as he's assisted from the backside a little bit there by Ricky. And while JDM does sneak in a trade frag onto Cutler, it's of little consequences. They still control a 4v1 post plant, and all Nitro has is a CZ coming in on the rotate from Library.
Well played, though, by CLG. Quick, easy anti-eco for them. Liquid had a good positioning, though, but obviously the kills just didn't go their way. When you see the HP on CLG, right, that could have gone differently. But good on them for winning that very clean. The thing that they need to notice right now, and they hopefully do, is that JDM had a USB. All that means is that he's going to have an op next round. Like, certainly. He will 100% have an op right now. He just had a USB, and that's something you got to keep in the back of your head. So whenever you're playing in those anti-eco scenarios, that's one of the things you want to look out for on that second round. Does that guy have pistol armor? Does he have a deagle? What type of gun does he have? Because then you can predict what type of weapon you're going to go up against the following round. Or not the following round, but the round after.
Yeah, the gun round.
Yeah.
So CLG, again, just really Molly and Nade the hell out of the old car position there. Good initial peek as they all just try to push their way out over here, and they actually end up getting the better trade out of it, leaving that into a 4v3. Still, though, the situation, I would think that CLG would have just fallen back and immediately rushed this onto B, but at the same time, Liquid also expected that too. So as we can see, they've all kind of rotated in pretty quickly, but CLG still biting into the B play there. So they're going to be going up against this big stack from Team Liquid, -1 player, of course, over here on B if they do decide to go for this, which they're moving into it now. They have spotted the one player towards CT, and they'll challenge him, but they've also got more challenge coming from the garden up close here, and I'm not sure if they 100% realize it. Thankfully for them, Team Liquid are not going to push out against it currently as there's a smoke in their way, and that's just adding too much risk to the situation. What they did do, though, is they boosted up Elise to get another spot onto CLG. The Nets brought down to 20. Let's see if this nade does any serious damage. It does take down one. Elise and Stan are both also at like the same HP. They're 13 and 11 on the two of them, and while Pimp is rotated in, and CLG having good post-plant positions here. Molotov being utilized to just waste even more time as well. There's no kit sitting on any one of the three remaining Liquid players. Yeah, as they try to just hold them in, they pick up one frag. But the trades there should allow for CLG. Again, they're going to win the round, but as you said, if they can at the very least take them all out, which they're going to succeed in doing. Pitman's up with a 3 kill on the round. Everybody dies, but it's very expensive at the end of it.
That was so smart by Liquid. They recognized very quickly that they can't win that round. As soon as that Molotov happened and that nade, they were like, okay, we can't win this round. Let's try to make them blow up. And they get all 5 of them dead. Now look at CLG's money. All of a sudden, normally, you have to win 2 gun rounds in a row, but they're going to have to win like 1.5 gun rounds, kind of, in order to break CLG's money. So that was fantastic by Liquid.
But it's good, too, as CLG's round share here was getting a little bit one-sided in their favor. So assuming Team Liquid can close out this gun round and follow through, if we see a force after this from CLG, then they're still going to be in a pretty good position around a fairly fast comeback, as they're only 4 rounds behind right now. The opener here on CLG, as you take a look again, it's still fairly standard in terms of the T sides on this new Inferno. Not seeing them really take any map control, just waiting out the initial CT smokes and trying to see if they do anything hyper-aggressive that they can punish. Ethan, though, in Banana does actually get mollied out as they use both Molotovs that are over here on the B-bomb site to try and flush him out. It works, obviously. And then they have the deep smoke to prevent him from moving back in for an extra 20 seconds or so. Meanwhile, over here on the A-bomb site, CLG's not going to be waiting out that smoke. They do decide to flash directly through and take control past the choke point. They succeed in that, but it's only this one player. I think Cutler is the one that pushed in. Everybody else falls back and was looking like they were going to shift into Banana, but again, the deep smoke is reapplied over here at the arches, the entrance to Banana. So they may have to go back towards Plan A over here and try to execute towards this site instead, depending on how the timing works out for them. As they still got into, they haven't met any aggression or anything like that towards A. Team Liquid is playing it really far back on that site, whereas Nitro is basically just trying to contest and get the intel as early as possible there. Pushed out to Car, and he did spot those 1 or 2 players that were pushing into Banana a moment ago. They get prepped for it now. They were doing the boost, but they canceled it at the last second, so they're just going to play this out. Oof, and JDM, unfortunately, just gets destroyed on the way in. Elige gets a nice double kill, but again, after all the trades and whatnot happen, and Cutler still holds this flank position, it's not going to leave a whole lot of room for Liquid to win the round, so the 2K from Elige doesn't end up meaning much beyond economy damage, and for Pimp, he knows he doesn't have a chance at it, so he's already just playing into the A site to look to save.
Liquid should not have lost that round. Under no circumstances should they have lost that round. They had 3B. JDM misses an easy shot. Sight guy doesn't get any kills. Spindle guy gets 2, yeah, but he dies. I mean, that was a 4v3. Cutler was lurking. That was a 4v3 at the B site with no smoke CT spawn and upper CT spawn. Should never happen. Liquid had no business losing that round, but that puts him in a pretty bad spot. And COG, I mean, Stan not playing well at all. JDM not hitting his shots. You know, you got 3 and 17 on Stan. JDM 6 and 13. I mean, he's had an op like every round too. You know, almost every gun round he's opping. So just not playing well at all. And COG positionally so far this game has like crushed Liquid, just positionally speaking.
And so, as you can see there from Liquid's money, not going to be seeing much in the way of investment here. Just not even really armor buys coming up behind a majority of the pistol upgrades. CZs and P250s are really all we are going to see this time. And for CLG, sending most of their players just directly up through mid. Again, pretty standard default opener. Probably going to sit back since Team Liquid is broken here just to make sure that they don't do anything crazy. Oh, like they did on, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd round there. Yeah, but they all try to push out towards mid. And after they wait down the timer a bit, following through with the execute pretty quickly afterwards, as we're seeing now. 4 stack here. The Team Liquid at the very least do have the numbers playing in their advantage over here on this site. But Pimp just looking the complete other direction, and there's nobody watching for anyone that would be hugging this close right wall. Nitro goes off at least and finds Finesse, but again, that's pretty much it. Everybody on the site gets knocked out. Stan tries to peek into Kusta. He picks up a nice second kill on the round. Delige completely detached from the action, so it's an easy 13th there as CLG continue to walk through these anti-ecos without too much trouble.
Yeah, and I know it looks like CLG has this huge commanding lead being 13-7, but if Liquid continues to play the CT side like that, I don't think they're going to lose another round like that where they should really easily win it, you know, where JDM's in spawn, there's no smoke, they have 2 more, you know, one site, one spindle at B. Liquid did a really nice, like, just aggro B mid-round aggression kind of. They waited until the Molotov came out, they smoked deep, they double mollied, you know, logs and around that area. The only thing they have to ever clear in that situation is behind the, you know, the short wall, right? And if they could do that and they can make things uncomfortable for CLG, and we'll see this round, if Liquid is able to put that B pressure and kind of dictate the rotates like that, it's still going to be a very, very difficult game.
CLG still have continued to control the situation, though, for this entire T side, as I don't think Liquid has gotten a single round up on the board yet here in this half. But, again, it's only our second real gun round as we're going into it, so there's still plenty of time for that comeback to happen. But, obviously, if it doesn't happen here right now, then it may be a pretty short amount of time, as they are running thin. Rounds to lose out here and mistakes to make against CLG. On the opener, though, things go pretty much as you'd expect. It's a little bit heavy on the banana pressure for this early on from CLG as they are trying to go.
Botch smoke, right? They threw a smoke from like spawn, and that's where it landed. That's a CT smoke right there.
Yeah.
That's got to be a botch smoke, right?
I would assume so, since it's not really covering anything.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it is.
And what's even worse, too, is that nade goes really deep and ends up connecting onto Nitro, bringing him down to 40 HP. And I think it's getting tagged by something there, too. So he's going to be pretty low right from the beginning of the round. They are starting to expect it as they actually haven't rotated anyone over from A, actually, to my surprise, despite this. So Smoke moves in, but they already have control of the staging ground. So if they push against this could prove to be a big mistake. However, Kusa just randomly seems to swing out on his own with the Molotov, I think, blocking them over there. So some weird communication issues or something from CLG. Or the Molotov just getting in the way too well, and that leads to Kusa just dying all on his lonesome. Now Moore trying to push back in, and once again, they find Ethan out in the open, so they're smoked out on the platform itself. FNS is to try and push back through that. Nitro's still trying to redeploy this smoke, but again, Nitro from the backside picks up another kill that is whittling them off one by one. Finally, there's a frag for CLG, but it's going to be of very little consequence. Nitro finds the trade. He's at 7 HP now, but Cutler's just alone in a 1v4. There's not even really any reason for Nitro to swing out against that and hunt for the kill, as they have him restricted to the corner here. And really Cutler just hoping to get any frags that he can to try and limit the economy of Team Liquid going into some of these next rounds here. He'll find one. He knows he still has Nitro somewhere in the backside here, but currently looking away for it as he hugs the wall. Positionally, still playing it very well, but with the time now below 10 seconds, he doesn't have to burn him out. No. With 5 HP coming out of the molly, Nitro just takes him down, and Team Liquid finally get one up on the board in this half.
That was really
messy.
Bad. That was really bad by CLG. I mean, that's something that Hellraisers kind of made, you know, I don't want to say famous, but they were kind of the ones that started that, where you kind of mid-round retake card control. And CLG should know what's happening. I mean, that's been around forever on Inferno, that they kind of let you take card control, then they smoke it out, then they molly and they retake it, right? And then Kusa, they just had no plan for it. That's what it was. They had no plan for that. They wanted a full B exec where they probably pushed spawn side like we saw before. And they just had no plan for what they were going to do against that mid-round aggression. Kusa's plan was to take out the Tech 9, run through a molly, and fight 2-on-1 full speed. Not the best plan.
Yeah.
And everybody else's plan was to just run back and forth like chickens with their heads cut off. So that was very sloppy.
Yeah, this is going to pretty... Oh, nice shot from Stanislaw there, catching Ricky just halfway up the long haul. Immediately, again, knocking out one of the players from CLG. And this is a forced investment for them, too. You can see the Tech 9 on Ethan. The rest, I'm pretty sure all 5 of them were able to get AKs, or all the 4 of them, excuse me, were able to get AKs beyond that, but they don't have a whole lot of smokes or Molotovs to try and work their way into the site. And Team Liquid, again, they're kind of in the same boat here, but at least they have a decent amount of Molotovs and wanted to utilize to try and hold off just a direct play like this, and we can see that coming into effect right now. Pimp spotted Finesse, but he got hit by a flashbang, so he's restricted to the corner. Still holds on, though, and he finds his first kill with 36 HP remaining. Finally, trade and a second one from Cutler. Cutler, he may even be able to get a third. In fact, he does. So he's saving this round single-handedly, but now he needs to ace this. And he's only got 35 seconds left. He knows JDM's sitting back somewhere. He just can't find this second guy yet. As he looks for him on the porch, he's creeping so far. But in fact, I don't even think he knows JDM's up here. He runs out of ammo on the AK, though, pulls out the Glock, somehow still gets the frag, and now he's got even time to reload. Nitro still trying to push in against him here. Time's getting low, though, so if Cutler wants this frag, he's got to go for it. The flashbang out doesn't connect. He's low at 18 HP, and Nitro will just barely save the round for Liquid.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, CLG had no business even being that close and winning the round. That's just phenomenal effort and individual play by Cutler. I mean, this is a 1v5, I believe.
Yeah.
And brings it down to a 1v1 where actually I thought he was going to win it. I mean, he had that flash, he had that Molotov, he knew exactly where he was. Just kind of panics a little bit, gets a little bit too over-aggressive. The flash didn't do much to Nitro. It was very easy to dodge. Pimp making it 4v5 right off the bat. But CLG there, I mean, did you see how as soon as XU came, the Molotov porch came at like the perfect time to just stop anything? If CLG would have timed their Molotovs like that, they would have already won this game.
Fortunately, that hasn't been the case, and much like Team Liquid was rather uninspiring with their own ecos back on T side, the same is probably going to hold true here for CLG. Again, Finesse, sneaking in one kill here, not going to be the biggest deal in the world. Cutler, the last man alive, goes down pretty easily, and it is a pretty casual round win there for Team Liquid. I believe we'll see a tactical pause coming in now for CLG, as they're getting close to losing the lead. Liquid on the kind of a comeback streak, so they need to find some way to dampen it and restore order to allow themselves to push forward and close out this map.
Yeah, is this a CLG timeout?
I believe so, yeah.
Assuming.
I would assume so, considering the situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be tough to get 3 more rounds against Liquid. Liquid's going to be fully bought out. But, I think Liquid's going to win this, despite the score. Even when it was like 13-7 or so, I was thinking, the way they played that last gun round, where they made things for CLG uncomfortable, because Inferno, it really does play very similar, it seems like, than the old, to the old Inferno. Just a little bit different because the time's longer. Now, I mean, so just trying to delay with nades isn't really an option anymore, and people need to get that out of their heads. Like, oh, I'm just going to use my nade to delay. Because that's how it used to be on the old Inferno. You used to just throw an extra smoke B, and you'd have 2 more smokes, and then you'd have 2 mollies, and it was like the entire round. If you wanted to hit B, you'd have like 15 seconds left to do it. But once people get rid of that idea that, hey, we can't really do that much anymore, then it plays very similar, where it's like, oh, you could just Molotov when they start doing stuff and things like that, and it becomes pretty CT-sided. So we'll see. Fully bought round by CLG. No off onto Ricky or Kusta, though. Kusta just loves taking damage from mollies.
Yeah,
have you noticed that?
Takes him a little bit longer than
So does
necessary.
JDM.
JDM, though, oh my god, he almost didn't make it out of there.
What are we watching?
What? Pimp pushed out T steps, and he got one. Thankfully, FNS is there, and he figures that out pretty quickly, so he trades it, but the first 30 seconds of this round has been basically utter chaos.
Both these teams just love living in fire.
On the edge, man.
Yep.
So, yeah, after that happens, it does leave itself down to a 4v4. Ricky got knocked out somewhere there, too. I didn't really catch where that happened, unfortunately, but...
Yeah, and JDM only on 12 HP due to that other molly, so he's... I actually think that on Inferno on CT side, I don't think 4v4 is that much of a problem. Like, you still have a lot of options.
Mm-hmm.
You could still cover the whole map and everything. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue for Liquid. They have a nice setup here. Double pit setup with 1 at Moto and a retake B. So they're set up very well to win this round.
And now Stan is going to be sitting on top. He knows there's going to be pressure moving in. Oh, he actually grabs Finesse, gets the Minner headshot onto him while jumping down himself. Elige knocking out the second player here, and it's going to be pretty quickly in the favor of Team Liquid after that. So they close it out. Pimp's early aggression really seems to screw up CLG's. They even had things smoked over there past the mid choke point around Arch Wrap to be able to try and go in pretty quickly, but all that chaos really threw them off there. And now when they made their second attempt, it got controlled pretty quickly. So Team Liquid now just 2 rounds away from tying this.
Yeah, and again, for the viewers at home that are watching, another greatly timed Molotov. The smokes come, he Molotov porch, I believe, and it just allows them to double up on halls. Like, it becomes very easy to hold that A site if you use your utility properly.
And JDM gets a double and then follows it up with a third as well, just re-peeking directly inside. Good shot from FNS to trade it, but the round is, unless he can somehow pull off a miracle here, almost already done for. As JDM just dominates a quick push from CLG, trying to go up mid. Good flashbang again from Finesse, but he just can't pick up a 3rd or 4th kill there as he gets double push from the guys on Banana.
FNS is killing it, man. 22 and 12. leading everybody in the server. I mean, plus 10 right now. Seems even on these pistol rounds where they just have no chance to win, really, just, you know, very light investment. You got the P250 kill out of Halls. He just got 2 kills there. Just really making an impact in almost every single round. So now Liquid, though, 13-12, I think they're in a good spot in this game. Even if they lose this round, they'll still probably buy. You know, they'll be able to get 2 drops down. They have a lot of money on those 3 guys.
Yeah, and again, it's fast up mid here for the guys on CLG, but JDM again finding another early shot here through the mid choke point. Takes down Ethan. After, I believe, hearing him spray out or tap away with the AK, he's able to trace him down and knock him out. So it's another 5v4 advantage right at the start of the round for Team Liquid.
So Kusta probably going to try to look for a pick here, I would assume, but what do you do right now? Ricky challenges 2 players at B, and just like that, like, the dominoes fall very quickly when people just start taking gun battles that they shouldn't in 4v5s to try to even it up, but the gun battles they're taking are not advantaged at all. They're not looking for opportunistic kills, they're trying to force the issue, and anytime you're going to force a peak against a Liquid, and, you know, players like Nitro and the Liege, like, they're generally going to punish you.
And we can see, though, that CLG, after being delayed for about 5 to 10 seconds there by Molotovs, do still resolve to push through mid and try to wrap back around here. Pimp is waiting inside of the library. Again, great timing on the flashbang around the wrap side there, as it does blind them and delay them even more. No peek from Pimp, though, to challenges. He just wants to take them on in the A corner here as he waits for it, and it's perfectly timed, too, due to the fact that he remained a mystery up until that point. Nobody even knew he was sitting in there, so Finesse just walks right into his own death. Kusta catching JDM from the back, so a bit of confusion there about the situation in terms of player positioning, as now Color's also going to push him from porch, but he fails to check the broken wall portion of the pit, and that's going to allow for Stan to pick up frag. There's only going to be 1 more on the site itself, so Kusta may at the very least be able to guarantee a plant. We'll have to see as he goes for it over here in the A side emo corner. He's going to get pushed back out, and again, really just hunting for frags, as Stan does just jump right up there, taking him down. It is before the timer expires, so he's still going to get the losing bonus money, but now the game is tied at 13-13.
Yeah, it is. So pistol armor going to come out for CLG. They do have a good amount of money bonus. I'm not sure if they're maxed or not right now. But again, you know, CT side Inferno, you get full nades. You have all these clever things that Liquid's doing. Yeah, so they do have max money bonus. You have all these clever things Liquid's doing at B. You see the boost over the smoke. And it's just, yeah, CLG just has no answer for any of these things that Liquid's doing, especially at B. You know, the retake B mid-round, the push mid-round at B, all these things are really making CLG struggle.
And it is leading to the downfall, as we're seeing now CLG falling behind here to now possibly lose the lead. As again, Liquid's kind of had the same problem, but we're not really seeing anything special on these half-buy and eco rounds, as they have tried to sort of force the issue directly onto the site. Haven't seen any really sort of special takes overall throughout the course of this half from CLG. They've been playing it extremely straightforward after just weighing down the timer. They had an opportunity to catch Nitro out there, but he falls back too quickly, and with the Molotov, that's going to kill their fast attempt to take control. Moving away from the staging ground now, it does look like they are going to try to reapply some utility and still go back in, but they're aware of this. Stan should be quick on the rotate when he sees these Molotovs and HE and all, you know, everything being tossed back in here, but still, it's Kusta into the first one. Beautiful spray out of the second player from Nitro, but he does remain in the open, and that will give the site over to CLG. It's left even into a 3v3. Ethan being the only one to pick up an upgrade at 19 HP as well, so still working mainly with Tech 9 and a P250 sitting over on Ricky. Pretty slow rotate will be working its way in from Pimp as he takes his time to watch out for this sort of a flank, but Stan walks himself right into a kill against Cutler. Molly from the CTs does get wasted, so Ethan will still remain safe in emo corner, but it's going to be pretty obvious that one should be playing back to there, and I'm sure they'll check it when they do move back in towards the platform here. Ricky with that P250, though, lines up a kill, and then Ethan swings out of perfect timing, so now it's on Stan in a 1v2, and Ethan just playing with him here at the pole. He knows Ricky's sitting back over there on B, switching his focus all over the place. He doesn't know which one to go for here, and he knows he's been outmatched. So while he may, and he won't even get this, I was about to say, well, he may be able to kill Ethan, the round is going to go into CLG's favor, and they do pull it off on the half-buy round.
Such a good job by CLG there. I mean, Nitro, even those 2 kills were like insane. That spray chance on the second guy was incredible. If that doesn't happen, that round probably goes CLG's way a lot easier. Is this a Liquid pause or CLG?
CLG pause.
Okay. But what you notice that they did is they feigned the B pressure. You know, guy like peeked in, they threw a smoke or a flash or whatever, and then they got him to use their Molotovs. Then all of a sudden, they don't have this utility. They don't have these nades to hold. I don't even think they had a flashbang even. I think they were just both doubled sight kind of with no nades. So CLG could just run up on them with Tech 9s. They mollied the triple. and all of a sudden you have like a round win. But when you give Liquid the opportunity to hold their mollies, to hold their smokes, and then whenever you show your card, whenever you play your hand out, then they just bomb you with utility. It's so difficult to win the round, and that's one of the problems on Inferno when you play like that. When you just kind of just group up, you throw your smokes, you do your execute, and then bam, counter mollies come out. It's just so hard to win.
Yeah. So CLG with the good play there and actually delaying that full execute until after they had baited out Team Liquid's own utility. It gives them back their lead just when they were about to lose it, and now they go back into another fully invested round. Interesting to note, though, that after they still don't seem to have enough cash flow to still be able to invest into an op, so we're not going to be seeing that going back on either Kusta or Ricky just yet. For JDM, though, he's still working with it as Team Liquid have their own buy, and now Team Liquid a lot more aggressive from them. Look at Nitro, how deep he went to take control of Banana here and make sure that no one worked their way out, along with the deep smoke to just secure it here. They should have, I think, one more to utilize here as well. Try and reapply that if they want to. Actually, no, they won't, because Nitro and JDM have both either utilized theirs or just didn't have a second one. And it's going to be left all to JDM over there. Molotov's going over. I think that one just fizzled out, though, so the one on Porch is going to have very little effect anyway, since Team Liquid are playing back on the site. But in terms of actually moving in, right now CLG aren't making any big moves as they still have a minute left on the clock, and most are actually falling back to re-aggress into B.
This is good for CLG. JDM needs to make a play here, and he does. He's posted up with an op. They just straight peek him. I mean, you're in a good position if you're CLG there. No utility on Liquid. Yeah, they do have that B control, but you could circumvent that. You could figure out a way to push him back to make it more of an even battle. Instead, they just walk into JDM's op. Now Liquid playing a retake with 4A, JDM posted.
And they make him miss his first shot behind the crypts. He gets a second one, actually, but it's only a leg against Finesse when it looked like it was going to be a headshot on one of those players. So misses out on an opportunity for a frag and then goes down to Kusta when they do flood the site. Also important to note here, too, is that CLG still had a decent amount of utility going into it, so they immediately apply their own smokes. I think there's one blocking off the church, so Cutler's good here unless they push past that. They still have another Molotov sitting on Ricky, too, if they want to try to block off church when this expires. So right now, Liquid really having no choice but to try and wait a few extra seconds here. They will start to move out now as Cutler again, actually great positioning there to try and go for that peak. Finesse swinging in, even finds Stanislaw looking at the stars there, but Nitro swinging out. They get back the control over here towards Garden, but they're not really getting anything else. Kusta gets a double frag, Pimp trading out two more, but then Kusta finds his third and finishes off the round, and that is going to send CLG swinging up to round number 15.
Yeah, and again, that was Liquid not playing well positionally. Like, it's 4v5. They still only left JDM alone at B. But JDM, he should have killed Kusta. He should have had another kill, actually. At the very least, he should have stayed alive, you know? But, you know, COG did take B, and they had a lot of utility when they took B. They kind of just straight peeked when they took it, and JDM didn't punish them at all. So, I don't know. Liquid they messed up that round. Liquid had that round. It's 4v5. They have, you know, good weaponry. They just don't make the right rotations. Now, COG 15, 13, they're playing against no op, 2 umps, 2 pistols, and M4. Bad utility. You know, CLG, if they don't win this game and Liquid, you know, wins this round and maybe forces it to overtime, like, they only have themselves to blame. They put themselves in a fantastic situation.
And it does appear as though they are going to try and, again, just weight this down a little bit, as they're in the same sort of group up that we saw from the last round. Kusta with the bomb, however, now sneaking his way over here up towards B, but it's a much more passive smoke this time from Team Liquid, just covering off the wall as they do not have the op anymore to play towards the car peak. They just have a 5-7 and a UMP sitting on this site, playing together though, and if they don't expect the pressure to be this close up, as this is actually one of the first times Team Liquid have actually taken an active role on holding this part of the map, and there you go, they don't even check the other side of the wall. 2 quick kills for Liquid. They try to go for more, but unfortunately, both of those defenders do swing out. Thankfully, the Team Liquid players from the A side had already half rotated in the meantime, so both JDM along with Stanislaw are going to be here, but that doesn't mean they can impact. Stan's the only one that can find it. He does get 2 big kills, and that leaves the fate of this match down to a 1v1 here now. Ricky getting the plant as Pimp arrives. He should be safe to plant here. I don't think Pimp's even going to go for giving away his position that early anyway. All he has to get back in is a flashbang. Meanwhile, Ricky, he's got everything in the world to hold this back off. He's got a smoke. He's got a Molotov. He did kind of restrict himself positionally, though, as he's playing back in the emo corner instead of another one of the spots he could have chosen to play from. A Pimp moving back in. He's going to have to play close up, and Ricky slowly just edging back out. He's got the perfect angle to close it out, and he will indeed finish the job for CLG as they take this first map here on Inferno with a final score of 16-13. It's going to be Counter Logic Gaming that claim this first map.
Wow. I wouldn't have expected that going into it. CLG kind of had a lot of troubles last night, Liquid has been looking great. So I mean, this is a bit of an upset, but CLG played really, really well. I mean, we didn't see those just mental errors, those complete blunders that we saw last night. We saw some, little mistakes with like non-proper communication as far as like when to use your Molotovs and utilities and whatnot. But overall, played very well. And Liquid, on the other hand, just kind of dug themselves in a hole, and CLG capitalized on it. So commend CLG for how they played.
All right, so there's a lot to discuss, of course, on this first map, and in order to do that, we're going to send it back over to our analysis desk. Stunna and Vendetta, let's get your guys' take on that first map.
Thank you, guys. Do appreciate you, like usual, killing it over there, having a good old time doing it, too. Just like it looked like CLG did. They're really bringing in some work here, showing a lot of promise.
I mean, they're bringing it here right now, and we talked about it as well. They're a team on the up and up, barring what we saw really last night, which it was a bit of an anomaly. They play great, and it was the same recipe for success as they did have yesterday. This time, it's just like Sam said, didn't have those mental hiccups really, or just performance issues in terms of like players messing up and making uncanny mistakes, right? So again, positional play being kind of the forte of CLG. You see it all through their CT sides. They position themselves extremely well to where they're set up for crossfires and just good positions at any given time to deal with whatever execute Liquid wanted to throw at them. So that was really impressive from the CLG squad.
Let's take a look at the Liquid side of things now. We've got round number 8 loaded up for you guys at home. Vendetta, walk us through this one.
Well, okay, so this is a round where Team Liquid Arbeit has gotten the first frag, and this is one of the few rounds where they actually have some success with their executes. And CLG, even in this scenario, actually make the right decision by putting Kusta up all by himself towards that B bomb set, which allows you to stack heavily towards A. Luckily, though, for Liquid, they actually have a really well thought out execute. You can see here smokes going out, which is going to block out FNS. They wrap around Arch Corner and end up, getting favorable trades in that kind of a scenario. And this is one of the few things that actually work for Liquid, but they struggled to actually find that initial kill a lot of the times on the T side, which didn't allow them to have the room to actually do this kind of a round. In addition to that, even with CLG playing from a disadvantage, they still play it out pretty well in terms of their decision making as to how they want to set up. So that was, pretty cool from actually both teams.
We saw a lot of cool stuff come from Liquid across the board. I mean, we even saw situations over on the B side of the map where they played more to the economical game. We saw them elect to not go for the defuse in a situation and then, elect to wait for them to explode with the bomb.
Yeah.
Setting themselves up for future rounds.
Exactly. And you want to think long-term in CS, and that's the cool part. Even though it's round by round, and yeah, potentially you can win every single round, you have to be realistic about your chances in any sort of opportunity. And, making that kind of a decision, sure, it's not the most fun pill to swallow at that point, but, sometimes you just have to jump on the grenade and take one and do something like that. And it's just very level-headed of them to actually come up with that way of going about it.
No, absolutely. Let's take a look at round number 12 now. Just absolute chaos over on the Liquid side. And it really a last-second plant, the way we saw this one kind of break down. I think, in all reality, this one got down to what? The bare of 3-4 seconds, and then they got the plant in?
Well, yeah, no, again, this is one of the rounds where we don't really see Liquid actually finding anything early. CLG did a good job of adapting to the fact that, well, the one time that Liquid was successful with an execute, it was off of the back that they gave away an early pick, right? So them, adapting accordingly, not giving any chances for Liquid to find early frags puts Liquid in a spot where they have to blindly execute into CLG, and that's never really fun. The only thing that really saves Liquid in that kind of a scenario is the fact that Pimp finds 2 frags almost immediately as they wrap around Arch Corner, and it's just down to individual performances more than the fact that their strategy and setup for the round was solid.
Well, let's talk about a weird setup here. Let's talk about, we expected to see the double op setup from CLG. I think at one point we even saw a triple op
with
setup.
FNS.
So it's strange across the board, but obviously played out in the long run for them in some fashion.
It definitely did, and actually, if we go back to their Inferno game yesterday, we actually didn't get to see Ricky play that op, secondary op all that often. We primarily saw Kusta, having the reins of that. But it feels like Ricky gets much more into his own groove when he's allowed to actually have some freedom and showcase what kind of skill he has as an opper as well. And that worked out really well for CLG in this game.
CLG starting that first half very much with a little bit of progression there, with like a little bit of work, or a little bit of groundwork. We see them coming in at 8-7. At CT half. Is that a strong half for considering the CT and T balance on this map?
I think it's tough to tell. I want to say, like, given how it started out, because obviously the one pistol then lost the following round, right? Then the fact that you're able to win the half after that, that's pretty decent. But it's hard to tell, actually, you know, whether or not this is going to be the way going forward, if it's going to be an 8-7 map or if it's going to be wildly CT favored or not. So, you know, yeah, it's still too early days, really, to really, like, nail the head down on what kind of a map this is and where it's favored.
You got to be careful about nailing the head down, no matter where it is or when you're doing it.
Words of wisdom.
But we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got these two teams battling it out on Overpass, so stay tuned right here.